and so when it comes that fast, it's hard to process it in the moment. So that particular song, I don't think it a meaning to start out with. It was just a lot of words that were just I mean, I guess it means all kind of different things now, but yeah.
In terms of records, that one wasn't from your latest one, because the latest one has very much a different style. That came out in November last year, called Song of Love.
The Song of Love, I said it to private. I kind of have this fear, like, of if my house burns down and all the music on my hard drive gets burned up, I'm like, all right, I'm going to put it on the internet. So I put that one up there, but it was official.
Oh,
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Congratulations for releasing it a month ago. Shows you how well I've been doing my research.
No, it's you had it right.
But that record very much punk, really.
Sure.
Which is a major departure from what kind of your bread and butter. You know, your honky tonk. You got your Bob Dylan-esque folk, which you just displayed there in your last song. Brought about this kind of step to, I don't know, the more radical left, if you will.
I think, it's, to me, almost just a step to sort of my roots. I mean, singers and country singers that I've spoken to over the past, few years, it keeps being revealed to me that, and I mean, that was my first band. I was playing drums in a punk band, and that's sort of where my roots are. And the more I talk about it with people, the more I realize that the line between folk music, those lines are blurry. I mean, they're essentially saying the same thing. They're questioning authority, and they're talking about things that are important in, topically, and I mean, it was fun for me to do that too, because all my other records, it sort of sounds more, sort of throw that out into the world like that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't feel that much different than me. I think it just sonically leans in.
So you're essentially saying the message doesn't really change. It's kind of just the delivery of the message.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
With this kind of towards more of a punk kind of band, more of a punk kind of sound, in your live settings, do you start bringing more people with you to play that kind of same sound on stage, or is this kind of only on a record and now you're going to go back to the kind of bluesy?
I will keep doing it. It was, it's hard on my voice doing that. Who are in, punk bands, how they go from screaming to singing night after night. I couldn't do it. I would love to have a singer in the punk band that I played with at the album release. We just playing these songs, but I can't keep doing it. I wish.
I've heard, and they always tell me that it's training that you can do in order to keep your vocal without wrapping your throat in.
Yeah.
Drinking lots of warm honey, it sounds a lot of effort.
I can't tell if they just lean into the sort of vocal chaos, sound like this for the rest of my life. But it's hard, it's like I couldn't imagine going from playing a punk show and then the next acoustic gig somewhere, and I think
it's,
do it.
You really got to make a choice, one or the other. I mean, I either smoke 100 cigarettes every night and it will come naturally on stage, or
right,
save your voice and be able to talk in 40 years. Well, we'd love to hear another song, if you'd like to introduce it again, and tell us which album this one from.
Oh, okay, so that, by the way, that mini album, new stuff I'm writing and working on, it's just more exciting to me to play it, so I'm going to do, especially, this is like on the radio and that kind of thing, but I'll just do it anyway. It's a brand new song.
Oh, wonderful.
And here,
it's that new.
I wrote it not last night, the night before.
To me that you've typed this out on a typewriter. A lot of people these days, I mean, fair credit to them, they're singing a new song live and read off their phone, but there's something typed letter to yourself.
I agree.
Your lyrics.
Yeah, I have my thing, and I didn't have my book of poems with me, and I had to just really didn't like it at all. But I did. I love typewriters, and this, as a side note, this particular anyways favorite model of typewriter, and I managed to procure one for and so for some reason that feels even more special.
The songs and personality down to the ground.
All right. Well, this one about social awkwardness, and including myself, go through completely unable to communicate with people at the coffee shop or whatever. So, yeah, a couple nights ago, for all those folks and myself included, it's called, let's see, the words are here somewhere. I think it's called As Cool as the Moon. It goes like this. Sonically already pretty similar to the last song, but there's people all around you. True. Hey, how's your day? What's new? Feeling like a crossword. Give me another try. I'll find it this time. I won't be as cool. Sing this little tune. The expected interaction folds you. You're trying to feel at home, and you'll buy a soul. And then somebody solitude that feeds you. So you do your best to feel and give them something real. But if you won't be as cool as the moon, but you can sing this little tune. You don't be as cool as the moon, as cool as the moon all the time. You don't have to be as the moon, as cool as the moon all the time. You don't cool as the moon, as cool as the moon all the time. You don't have to be as cool as the moon, as cool as the moon, as cool as the moon all the time.
In there by Eric George. I feel like that would be completely in place of any kind of Pixar movie.
Sure, yeah, I could see that.
It's a Randy Newman special right there.
I gotta start thinking like that.
You should give him a call.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you are record in 4 years.
Oh, 40. Okay, great. I didn't know that statistic. I love that.
You haven't counted that up yourself. Included also a book of poetry in that, and that's involved different styles, different genres. So, what for you is fires going? Because even tonight, you're coming in with new songs. It seems like there's no kind of end to the amount of songwriting that you do.
Mm-hmm.
How does this keep going? Where are you finding creativity all the time?
Well, I mean, the favorite word to put a hierarchy on it, but my favorite, I just love being in practice with writing, but also, I mean, in the past few years, the practice and the process of recording has been an absolute joy to me. This is actually written in several months, and it's because I've at a certain point sort of reframed. For so long I was, I guess, constantly writing songs and having that be the criteria for sort of successful creativity, and I've sort of reframed it in ways that I now think that, okay, I have other things to practice, like, sound engineering and mixing aspects of, music recording and that kind of thing. And I guess there's a word I'm looking at, it's on the tip of my tongue. It's similar to the word method, but having, I know what the process looks like from start to finish, like very intimately, and so I think the more that I've, the more albums I have a pretty good idea now of sort of what the process looks like from start to finish, which makes everything easier. I remember when I made my first album, everything was so, I felt so in the dark. I didn't know all the steps involved, and so it made it difficult to take each step of that process. But now that I know the process, it just is easy, and it, I mean, if I don't know, if I weren't writing songs and making albums, I don't know what else I'd be doing. Just sitting on the couch with my dog.
That doesn't sound so bad either.
That sounds great. I do that too.
I've often heard described creating an album with musicians as a bit like having a child.
Mm-hmm.
For you, out of the albums you've got, which one's a Reddit stepchild, and which one maybe is a golden child out of the ones you've created?
I love that question, and it's sort of sad because I think about like my neglected children. Just like, all right, this album's done, and I sort of process it's swaddled, and I'm taking it into the woods every day and holding it sweetly. It's like, sorry, buddy.
Leave it to fend for itself.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but I like them all for what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And they've all, I guess it comes back to the word practice. I see them all evidence of practice at different points. So sometimes I'll go back and listen and say, oh my God, like I could have done a way better job doing that or doing this. I'll do it better on the next one and the next one, that kind of thing.
Do you ever go back to old songs, especially from way back in the day? Do you ever go back and either steal from them or rip them off wholesale?
So it's funny you say that. The album I'm working on right now, which I'm waiting, I'm just putting final touches on, doing harmonies. Cat Wright is going to sing a song with me on it, and Meg, a bunch of pals are going to be singing on it and doing harmonies and stuff like that. But they're all songs that I wrote when I was in college, and some even go back to high school. So they go back, and I don't record them. They're gonna die forever, and I need to just get them into the world. But I find it very difficult to try to rewrite whatever was in that song. It's just glued to that song. It's very hard to unglue words from one melody or from one song and paste them.
It's like a kidnapper chopping up a newspaper.
Yeah, exactly. A musical ransom note. Yeah.
So is it everything that you write then completely new, completely fresh? Is it? I mean, you write a lot of lyric, for instance. Mm-hmm. Do you find yourself going back to the same topics, or do you really find yourself really picking every single element of life?
I think I'd like to be practicing more of picking every element of life. I've been on a total John Prine kick lately, and he has such an amazing way to but just writing about sort of all elements of life, and from the sort of banal and the sort of mundane, and the poet Bill Jones talks about this a lot of talking about taking the ordinary and the ability to take something ordinary and to make it as beautiful as possible, I think, is a really important practice. So I think the album that I'm working on now, a lot of the songs are in their topic, they're very expansive, and they're sort of very a lot of it sort of sounds like Pink Floyd or something like that, and the content is very they're large, and I like the idea of being in practice about focusing on just what's absolutely right in front of me. And that's where I'm at in this moment,
And this new record you got coming out, released 1 month ago. Mm-hmm. Is this due to come out spring, fall?
I don't know.
It's good.
Yeah.
Is it got a name yet? Do we get to hear that?
Does it? Yeah, it's called Where I Start.
Where I Start.
Yeah, that's the track of the album.
Right.
Yeah.
And has that also been, is that another genre kind of you're pushing into again? As you said, it's kind of got Pink Floyd elements on it?
Yep. Yeah, definitely. It's, psychedelic's not the right word. Groovy might be the right word. It's definitely got a lot of grooves in it. And yeah, so after I played a lot of punk music when I was in high school. My high school band after that, we did a ton of Pink Floyd covers, a lot of like psychedelic blues rock and stuff like that. And he's definitely some of the most fun I've ever had playing music in my life. So it's sort of going back to those roots a little bit. Mm-hmm.
So it really does seem that, well, the 7 Days, for instance, did mention on the review of Song of Love that it was your quote Bob Dylan moment going electric. Is that something you'd agree with? Was that kind of a watershed mark for you, your last record, and from now on it's going to be sticking your guitar into an amp and getting a band together when you record?
Oh no, definitely not. Yeah, I mean, I love that though. Yeah, I remember reading that and I just thought, I was like, all right, cool. That's like that's sort of what I wanted it to be. The album cover is, you might not be able to tell what it is from, but it's a Polaroid of me throwing up, just like the idea of the sort of just like the pie in the face of like, a lot of the, things that are written about my music and that kind of thing, which I'm grateful for every word that's written of it. But I was sort of feeling a little bit bad, like, wait, I do a lot more than, and I think even my folk songs like have a lot more elements than sort of like a Bob Dylan kind of thing. Like, I don't know if, he usually sticks to a few chords, and I going all over the place. But I think that one of my intentions, after this, songs that I'm sort of revitalizing and breathing life into, I've been really wanting to make music. Some of my favorite country songs and some of my favorite folk tunes. Just use a Tascam 4-track and sit in a room and just record them. Because there's so many songs that aren't necessarily popular folk and country songs, but they're gems to me, and I love doing that digging and finding all the sort of the great obscure old folk songs.
So it was inspired by.
Oh no, it's I mean, it's funny when talking about American folk music, calling them covers. It feels like a strong word for something that it does belong to all of us, right. And it is in my body, and I'll sing it as my own song, just like everybody's saying it in their own way.
Right, I did a lot of those old classics and folk songs that were songs for decades before anyone actually got any recording studio.
That's right.
Recording equipment even. So I suppose they're not really covers. They kind of more belong to the common.
Yeah, came along. I mean, I wonder if that word sort of came about in the sort of corporatizing of music and sort of the calling it that. I mean, I'm sure that must have come along, in the 50s or something like that. Right. The cover of a song.
With intellectual property rights, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming into the fore.
If anybody knows about that.
Non-existent
non-existent hotline. Phones are going off the hook.
Well, I'd love to hear another song. Just let us know a little bit about this one. And
sure.
Take it away.
Let's see, what should we do here? Well, sorry. Well, I'll play a song that's off the album, maybe 2 albums, and not about nightingales. I wrote it after a friend told me about the author and poet Richard Brautigan, and I just fell in love with his writing. And I think it's in Revenge of the Lawn is his book. There's one called I Was Trying to Describe. It starts out by saying, the other day I was trying to describe you to someone, but I couldn't do it. And then he goes on to talk about rural electrification during FDR's New Deal and electricity going through the power lines that had just been erected across the West, and people being able to hear President Roosevelt's voice on the radio for the first, sort of all that electricity going through those lines and getting to hear President Roosevelt's voice on the radio. That is how you look to me. And I just loved that. And so as a writing prompt, my dear friend Madeline, who introduced me to him, she told me that she used that as a writing prompt sometimes, so I figured I'd try to write a song like that. And so it's called I was trying to describe you to someone. Goes like this. Oh, I looked at the mountain, doubting that those shades of blue could define you, to describe you. Oh, I dug through the tomb, but all the riches in that room live inside you. And I could say you look like sweet Liza Jane, and I could say you look like Barbie Allen, for your face is timelessness traced onto times of no. See the groves and just a little bit of honey rattling in the sun, steeping leaves and butter for the bread she made, the lakes, waves, and the feeling it brings when there's a bird that hears another sing, that listens on to the song that glistens on and makes the distant hills ring. It makes the hills ring. When the spring brings the rain that slips through my fingers, but I hold out my hands anyway. And up above me the moon's done grieving, just to listen to the blue jay. Oh, that is how you look to, that is how you look to me.
I was trying to describe you. And who was it you were trying to describe?
That's an interesting question. Sometimes when I write songs about people I love, it's a sort of like amalgamation of all the qualities. So it's about, I guess, the idea of the person. So I dedicate it to my to my friend Madeline, who introduced me to Richard Prodigy. Right. But I guess it's about an idea or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And kind of like riffing off what you created today to write down your lyrics. You know, obviously you use it relatively often because with your other records, we've come in with these records. When you buy them, you get books of lyrics that have been hand stitched, which I'm assuming you typed out as well. And I think the last album came with a photo book.
Mm-hmm.
So, what story are you trying to bring with these add-ons to these records?
Well, partly, I mean, I love vinyl records, and growing up, the first record I ever got was The Doors' "Waiting for the Sun," and inside it you open it up and there's this big picture of a lizard, and there's all these sort of cool things about of an album. And I made my first album I pressed on vinyl, and it was just this big financial disaster, and so it's just so much money to do records and that kind of thing. But I really like the idea of tangible evidence of work and practice, and so sort of all the books that I make, I make those all with the help from my friends. I get together and we have these big book sewing parties, and so I having for this last album, it's just a digital download code in the back because you see even CDs are pretty expensive, and so being able to share with somebody a physical copy of something that you worked on, I think, is really important.
It's nice that you give that little extra that something is digital, because not having that thing you can grasp onto makes you sometimes forget that you've got those things still in your possession. Like having, like when you listen to a record on Spotify, do you ever feel that you have that record, even though it's just as much to hand as any other vinyl? It doesn't really feel the same. My CDs when I was 15 or 16.
Right, totally. I do have, I was thinking about this just the other day, the Minor Threat discography. They're one of my favorite bands, and I've had the same MP3, I bought it once. I bought a CD probably at Newbury Comics when I was like 13 or something like that, and loaded it on my computer, and I've never loaded it onto a... The same MP3s are still on my computer, and they're on my iPod, and it's sort of the only digital thing that I feel like I have possession of. I'm like, yeah, these are the same MP3s that I listened to when I was 13,
Same
exactly.
Preserved all these years.
Yes, yeah, it was, it just struck me just the other day thinking about that.
It's very interesting to think of, especially, I suppose you're probably around the same age as me, where, I don't know about yourself, but I definitely grew up as a young child, grew up in like a non-digital age, and the communication. Thinking about those kind of early days where there was it was a lot more of a blurred line between the two. That you upload computer, which you spent hours
on the CDs for friends.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting to think about.
So interesting to think of the relics of the kind of those early days of the digital revolution, if you will, and when those physical things kind of started turning digital.
Yeah. I'm grateful to the tail end of that.
Right.
Same thing for recording music. The first songs I ever recorded were on this. I still have it, this Tascam 4-track that I dearly, dearly love, and I'm very grateful that I allowed to record music on a piece of analog technology as opposed to a digital one. I think there's so many benefits of having a physical. I feel the same way about buying music and having CDs as opposed to Spotify. I don't have Spotify. I wish I did, but make life easier.
It does come in useful, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah.
Saves me a lot of money.
Yeah.
Talking. I completely lost the question there. You play live a lot. This month alone, I think you're playing six different gigs in March, and that's not exactly unusual for you. And when you're not playing official gigs, I often see you down on Church Street and you're busking. What is it about playing live for you that is so addictive, I'm assuming, and how does it feel different? What do you learn playing live that you don't learn?
Well, these days, playing live is a necessity financially. I play music full time, and it's in my mind, I'm going to work. I'm job. So it's definitely transitioned a lot from even 5 or 6 years ago, something like that. Of like, I'm gonna go play live and play all these songs, and it's gonna maybe change somebody's life. And now it's just like, okay, I'm gonna go and do the best I can in that moment. And it depends. Definitely depends on the gig too. If I'm playing at a loud bar or something like that, which I don't do that much anymore, I'm gonna play a lot of covers. I think energetically it's very exhausting to play my own songs and have them not necessarily be received. Situation where people are listening, I'm going to play all original music. And so I think that's one of the rewarding things to me about playing live, is sort of to have a reciprocation of the energy that I put into writing a song and the energy that came through me when I was writing a song, and have that be given back to me through the audience,
Mm-hmm.
through the people who are listening. But yeah, a lot of the time it's not like that, which is, it's just the way it goes. But I play a lot. Also, if you look on Friends in Town page, it's like I have these gigs, but I also play for the elderly a lot, and do a lot of assisted living places and that kind of thing. And those are I leave some of those places sometimes. I'm like, that was the best I've ever played. And they're some of the most rewarding gigs, and because I, knows I play a lot of songs, and they'll sing along and that kind of thing, and so those are incredibly rewarding live music experiences for me.
I think that's the most punk you can be as well. Assisted living facilities.
It is punk. You. I feel like
it's an easy thing to play at a bar. Try.
Yes.
If you make the folks at Sunset Downs scream, then you've made it.
That's exactly right.
They're the hardest audience to play to.
Yeah, it's true. And not necessarily paying attention to the response of the audience, because a lot of you're not going to get a big loud cheer at the end of a song, but you just have to trust that you played the song well and that they enjoyed it. It's carried over into someone talking and nobody claps, and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
I would feel uncomfortable if people felt obligated to clap every time I was done with a song. So it's been good practice, and just sort of shutting that need for validation that a song was played well, shutting that off. It's good practice.
And talking about you putting your the world and hearing people connect with them, what song for you personally is the one you feel really most connects with? Which song for you personally is the most personally important song for you?
That's a tough question. Well, let's see. A song that I think I guess it depends on sort of what emotional level or what aspect of people's experiences they're connecting with. So the album called Two Hands was songs of resistance, and so if I'm playing out somewhere and I play a song I wrote called "The Gentrification Up Cities," and gentrification, people connect with that, and they enjoy that. It's like it's almost like comedy. It's like a comic says something that you can relate to, deeply enjoy, knowing, oh yeah, I've had that experience too. So there's that aspect of connection, and then there's, I think, a sort of maybe deep connection that people have to certain more heartfelt songs. So it's hard to say, because I don't really know what criteria to sort of measure that. Sorry, that was an evasive answer.
No, it's difficult to kind of pin down one song.
Right? Yeah, for sure. That was my way of saying I don't know.
I can tell you're a writer. And is there any song that for you is most important, the song that you connect most with?
It's whatever song I've most recently written. Yeah, I think that's that's why I was excited to play that newer one that I played, because most recent is the one I'm most sort of connected to. A song that since I wrote, I've enjoyed playing every time. There is a particular song that it's called Beautiful Decay, and every time I play it, I always enjoy playing it, and I like connecting with people with that particular song. If you want to hear it, I'd be glad to play it.
Oh, please.
I wrote it after I went with some friends and saw John Prine play. Get this guitar in tune. And I was just totally blown away by the whole experience and his performance. And there it is, the culprit. He's been through cancer a couple times, and is sort of physically, in, I guess you could say, rough shape or something. But he's got so much energy in his full songs, and it's just still so full of musical and energetic power, And it reminded me of this recording by Hank Williams Sr. that I heard Hank. It's a recording of a radio broadcast. He had to go on the radio and apologize to an audience because he couldn't make a show because he just had back surgery. And I listened to it one morning, and I just totally broke down for some reason. It hit me so. And so when I saw John Prine, it was the same feeling. And I feel like I've had this idea in my head for a while that the most we can do, in addition to resisting in very active ways through direct action and being part of the process of change, is to make the decay. And so that's what I wrote this song about, and that sort of includes the decay and so many other things. So it's called Beautiful Decay. And my guitar's a little out of tune, but it's good enough. He sang his songs like he was 25. 70 years he's been alive. I stood in the crowd, in tears I cried, next to a girl who was swinging her hips side to side. Beautiful decay breaks down a little more each day. Oh, life is like death's beautiful, but the song lives on after the singer has died. Hank was on, apologizing for canceling the show. His back was out and the doctor said no, but he should know. And the sound of his voice broke my heart, like his body and his soul were being torn. Well, that snake oil habit had him shining bright, like a purple sky. Beautiful decay, the body breaks down a little more each day. Oh, life is like death's beautiful bride, but the song is on to die. The world is born and the world decays, and I'm left wondering what to do. I can sing for the midwife counting toes, and I can lay my rose. Beautiful decay, the body breaks down a little more each day. Oh, life is like death's beautiful bride, but the song lives on after the singing. But the song lives on.
Beautiful Decay there by Eric George. So the way you were describing it before sounded a little bit nihilistic, in the sense that, everything's dying ourselves. Do you come to your records with with that kind of streak, or do you feel like you're a little bit more hopeful?
I think they're probably two sides of the same coin. I definitely wouldn't describe myself as a nihilist for sure, but I think that acceptance and grief involved in what's going on in the world is fuel, I guess, for sort of the fire needed to try to so I think that Yeah, I guess all I could say is that they're very, very closely related.
And I mean, you about this, you've definitely got a socially conscious streak in a lot of the lyrics of your songs. Especially your last album was kind of a resistance album, and that's not surprising. It came out the year that Trump was inaugurated. What is rock and roll or folk or punk's place in keeping people aware?
Question. I definitely know what it's. I've spent a lot of time thinking about not only what it does, but particularly what it doesn't do. I think that it's easy. It'd be easy for me to think that writing those songs is the extent of my participation in trying to change the world. I think that music and putting music out into the world and the music industry, everything is so saturated that let's be real, that's not going to change. However, all movements require songs and sort of artistic interpretation in order to sort of contextualize a lot of the discussions, I think. And so I think that music does a really good job of sort of emotions and the sort of deeper aspects of what a movement is trying to achieve. And so I think it's a way of interpreting something much larger, which, looks like direct action and looks like, real change, in terms of policy and being,
Maybe the butterfly's wings that creates a tsunami around the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the song itself is not going to be I have no delusions about I'm gonna write this song and it's gonna change everything. That's the overly hopeful, optimistic view, and a very and sort of self-righteous, almost egotistical way of looking at the art that one might make.
Right. We've not got too much time left, but I'd love to know our artists to plug away as much as possible.
Sure.
Sell yourself. More than in terms of social medias and Bandcamps and whatnot. And also, where can we expect you to play in the upcoming weeks and months? And finally, what gig are you most looking forward to playing for the summer and the rest of the year?
Yeah. Well, I think the buy my albums. Go on Bandcamp and buy them. I will. If you live in the Burlington area, I'll hand deliver them to your door.
It's a promise.
It is, yes. I work into physically making all the albums, so I really love sharing those with people. And it's also, I play music full time, so it's always nice to be able to sort of have that reciprocated in the capitalist way that we're all a part of.
We all have to be.
We all have to be. Yeah, I got rent to pay. I got a dog to feed.
Yeah, right.
But I'm gonna be playing every Friday at Hotel Vermont in March this month, and favorite gigs in Burlington. It's such a good time. The room itself sounds great, and there's a fireplace in it. I just love everybody that works at that place. It's just it's a good spot. So every Friday from 9 to 11 in March. And a lot with Henry Finch and the Capacity Ensemble, which y'all would have a great time in this room with them coming on. So keep an eye out for Henry Finch's Capacity Ensemble. I'm playing electric guitar with those folks, and that's a ton of fun. And there's another question?
The gig that you're most looking forward to this summer.
This summer. Well, I don't know.
I mean, beyond March. Any time from March 31st through to December 31st.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, we got to cross that bridge when we come to it. Yeah. Yeah. Facebook, I'll be, but I've been staying on top of the internet game. I promised myself 2019 for me is the year of the internet. I'm going to try to stay on top of...
Finally getting in there, right?
Finally getting in the internet. If I have a show, I should probably tell people about it. Getting there, you know.
Well, it's been absolutely glorious having you in. As you, there's not too many people can do musician full time these days, so respect anyone that has a grit and fortitude, and obviously the skills to be able to do so. So, massive thanks to you coming in this evening. Good luck with everything. Go catch him at Hotel Vermont or wherever. Church Street often has a like the Honky Tonk Band as well.
Oh, that's well. Thank you for mentioning that. We're every Tuesday at the Radio Bean at the Honky Tonk. We're called Pony Hustle, and we play every Tuesday at the Radio Bean at 10 o'clock. If you go every once in a while, if I've got a recording gig or something like that, I'll be elsewhere. But almost every Tuesday, we're playing at the Radio Bean.
All right.
Tuesday night, 10 o'clock.
Can't miss him. If you've got a song you would like to play us out with, that would be fantastic.
Sure, yeah, that sounds great. I'll play this little song I wrote up in Maine. I guess I didn't mention any of this, but part of the most exciting things to me right now about creating and putting limitations on everything, like Song of Love, the punk record, I did a song, wrote a song a day and recorded it. And this is the first time I did that, so this is just a little excerpt from this, I think it's my favorite thing I've ever made. It's I think it's 15-minute long kids folk opera. I don't know when I'm going to release it, hopefully soon. It's like everything's done. And so when I went up to Maine, I had these cards for kids that each card has a different piece of a story on it, and you shuffle them, and you can have 800,000 different stories, based on all the different combinations. And so the 7 cards I pulled for that day was about a bird and a mouse that were... I'd interpret the cards and make a song about it and record it. So this is one of the songs. There we go. Goes like this. Said the brown owl to the speckled bird, you're friends with a mouse. We don't understand you at all. Said the vole in the hole to his friend the mole, that little black mouse has lost her soul, and we don't understand her at all. Meanwhile, the speckled bird and the black mouse sang, let our home be big enough for friends to come again and again. Let our home be big enough for friends to come again and again. Just a little excerpt.
Wonderful. Well, Eric, thank you so much for coming on once again.
Thank you.
Several albums come out. Please come back again.
Thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun. Thanks.
Well, next week we haven't got anyone, so if you come in and play on the radio, please give us don't give us a call because we don't have a phone, but please give us an email.
Bob at bigheavyworld.com.
Bob at bigheavyworld.com. Over there, we'll be happy to talk with you and get you in. So yeah, we are looking for musicians next week. Please come on, and we'll listen to you play. Otherwise, we'll be next on April 10th when we got Miku Daza, but we do hope to hear from you before then. So catch us hopefully next week. It's been the Rocket Shop, and I've been Tom Proctor. Thanks. Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. You asked great questions, and you're great at what you do.
Oh, thanks very much, man. It's
It was awesome.
It's always
Good.
always.
Oh yeah, thanks so much for coming.
Yeah, my pleasure. That was a lot of fun.
So all these records you've made, get them over to me and I can get them on the radio.
Oh, sure. That's
all I
great.
need to know is if anything's got any swearing in it. Okay, then
The first song on the punk record. Other than that, they're all clean.
All right, then perfect.
Yeah, I was like, I like could have changed the word, but it's the first song on the punk record, so go for it. Yeah.
That was on YouTube too.
What's that?